Well, it's Uncommon Fossil, and today I want to talk about Palkia V-Star and the way it's being played in decks today. So with this build, we have a 3-3 Palkia V-Star line. It's a 280 HP Water V-Star, weak to Lightning, and a very solid attack, Subspace Swell for 2 Water Energy, does 60 damage plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, so full bench gives 200 more damage, so it gets to 260. Not quite enough to knock something out, so you do need a choice belt or something to get to that 280 number that you like to get to, but still a very nice number to hit. And unlike Chien-Pao, which is obviously a very strong water Pokemon, also you're not discarding the energy, so we don't need Baxcalibur, so it can make it a little smoother to set up. I like it for that reason. It's easy to set up, but it does. Oh, and it has the Star Portal ability, which is super good too with this deck. You may attach 3 water energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon any way you want. So to Palkia's, 2 Chien-Pao, 2 Suicune V, 2 Radiant Greninja, all options to accelerate to. Very nice in the deck. So like I said, I did mention Chien-Pao EX, 220 HP, Hailblade attack. You use sometimes. It does potentially hit for big numbers. 2 water, it does 60 damage for each water energy you discard from your Pokemon, not necessarily from Chien-Pao, but any combination of energies from any of your Pokemon in play. It is good. You are discarding the energy, though, so you've got to keep that in mind to either, if you win the game that turn, obviously it doesn't matter, but if you're going to not win the game, you do need to know what you're going to do the next turn, right? But it's also largely here just for the Shivery Chill ability. Sometimes you don't necessarily want to attack with it. Shivery Chill, once during your turn, this Pokemon's the active spot. You may search your deck for 2 basic water energy cards, put them in your hand, or reveal and put them in your hand, and shuffle your deck. So a very nice ability to get water energy into your hand. You can attach. You can also then use it with Radiant Greninja, discard an energy with concealed cards, and draw 2 more cards. So a nice little engine piece for the deck there. And Moonlight Shuriken is a very nice attack in some matchups. You did for 3 energies. You have to discard 2 though, but the attack does 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, so you can take out 2 engine pieces, which can really set your opponent back. Plays 1 copy of Suicune V is the other attacker in the deck. Well, it does have an ability fleet-footed, so it draws a card when it's the active spot, which is nice. And then this attack does for 2 energy. Blizzard Rondo does 20 plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, so it is kind of a a nerfed version of Palkia V-Star's attack, or better yet, Suicune V was already around, so Palkia is a buffed attack of Suicune V, but enough to do 220 with full benches to not take out most basic Vs or basic EXs. It's not an evolution Pokemon, so it's a little easier to get going. In terms of engine pieces, we play 1 Lumineon V, 170 HP, which is low for a 2-prize Pokemon, so it's a negative that way. So you don't want to outplay it necessarily, but Luminous Signs let you search your deck for any one supporter when you play it. When you play it onto the bench, so therefore it's just really good to get going. So 1 copy of that here, and you can attack with it. Aqua Return does 120 for 3, and you shuffle this Pokemon and all attached cards back into your deck. Gets that out of play as a target as well. So is something to keep in mind, that attack. And then we also then play 1 Squawkabilly EX for the Squawk and Seize ability. You discard your hand and draw 6 cards, but you can only use it on your first turn. So, but nice to get set up. And then a 1/1 Bibarel line as an engine. That's nice when you get it set up. 1/1 line, it's a deck that clearly doesn't prioritize it. You have other engine pieces like Radiant Greninja and such, but it does help a lot. So it's nice to get that into play. And for both Palkia and Suicune V, we want big benches, so getting down a support Pokemon is certainly a plus there. So playing 10 basic water energies, right? A water attacker, so just basic waters. That's all we need. Good to go there. In terms of the trainers, what do we have? We play 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball, search your prizes for a basic Pokemon, and you can swap this card out with it. So good to get that Pokemon we need into our hand that's been prized. 1 Raihan, very good, right? If a card's knocked out last turn by your opponent, during your opponent, Then you can attach an energy from the discard pile to one of your Pokemon and search your deck for any one card. Super nice there. 2 Escape Rope. We have a number of switching cards, which we need in a deck like this. We have Baxcalibur, need to switch. Suicune V, might want to use that ability and switch. So multiple ways to switch. 1 PokéStop. Not all the decks builds play that, but I like it. It gives you a nice engine piece. Sometimes you don't want to use it because what it does, if you're not familiar with it, you discard the top 3 cards from your deck and then put any item cards that were discarded that way into your hand. So good way to get some items, a little engine piece if you don't have something else. But sometimes you're discarding the cards you're going to want, and there is no recovery for Pokemon in this deck, so that's a risk with PokéStop. Energies we can recover with Palkia's VSTAR power or with Raihan, but Pokemon we cannot, so could put in a Superior Rod, could be nice in the deck. For Irida, really nice supporter for water deck. Search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card, put them into your hand. Very, very strong card. 2 Nest Ball, that's, more could be nice, but deck space, that's kind of what I felt like it could allow for. 2 Lost Cities, we need to bump path, so some stadiums there are good. And right, if a card's knocked out, it goes in the lost zone. So that's a nice, it's a solid stadium. It's not, it's in a certain sense there to bump path. Lost zoning Pokemon is useful in some matchups, but it's in certain sense I look at it as just a card to bump stadiums with, and not necessarily helping your opponent, which most stadiums do, right? 1 Capturing Aroma, just an item. You flip a coin, then depending on the outcome of the coin, heads or tails, it's either a basic or a evolution. I think, tails it's basic, heads it's evolution. It's good. You're guaranteed a card. You just don't know what type of Pokemon it'll be. 2 Battle VIP Pass. Only play 2 because I'm playing the 4 Irida. So if I go second, I have a decent chance of accessing it with Irida to get set up. So, a very nice way to get started. 2 Bosses Order, 3 Melony, a card I really like for decks that you can utilize it. You attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your V Pokemon, right? So Palkia, Suicune, or even Lumineon V. And then you draw 3 more cards. So energy acceleration and draw, very, very nice. 2 Ionos. Each player shuffles that, right? You know what it does. Not going to read it. And it's very solid. Early on, just see fresh 6 cards. Late game, if you're trailing, it's a way to kind of disrupt your opponent's hand. 1 Lost Vacuum, get rid of a stadium we don't like or tool. 4 Ultra Ball, get rid of energies, get the Pokemon we want. 3 Switch cards, 4 Cross Switcher, 1 Canceling Cologne. So Canceling Cologne, sometimes we'll want to gust up the Manaphy and play Canceling Cologne to hit with Greninja. That's a big part of why it's there. Then you can take out Greninja and potentially a low HP bench Pokemon, take 2 prizes 1 turn that way. And Cross Switch it's really nice, and it works in a deck with the Irida because we can search out a Cross Switcher with Irida as well as a Pokemon, and then assuming you have a Cross Switcher in hand, then we can play it. You have to have 2 Cross Switchers at the time. You play them both essentially, and then you switch your opponent's Pokemon and then switch yours. So a boss effect without having to use your supporter. You do gust up your own Pokemon as well, switch yourself. So you do need to keep that in mind when you play it. If you're going to plan on doing Cross Switcher next turn, don't put the Pokemon that you're going to attack with in the active. So let's see how the deck performs. I do think it's a pretty solid and strong deck. All right, so I will choose heads, go first if I can, but if I go second, I can work with that too. Then it allows me to use an Irida to get a Battle VIP Pass if I go second. So second's not terrible. It's not preferred, but it certainly is decent with this deck is what I'll say. Opponents taking their time choosing what to do. Hopefully things start happening soon here. All right, so that's not bad. So Chien-Pao into the active. Okay. So a dark deck. They play Cross Switcher is good to know. So we'll see what I'm up against as the game happens. So don't want to bench these guys. Certainly don't bench Lumineon V. So I probably Lumineon V for an Irida and get a Battle VIP Pass, I think. Probably. It's not a bad hand. It's not a bad hand. So Darkrai, which is what I expected, right? That's the most common dark deck now. I haven't really played it. I wouldn't mind giving it a try for sure. I don't think it's the best deck around, though, on the other hand, right? And then the VSTARs, if you don't have them, are very expensive to craft. You know, I'm looking at another expanded deck. I had done expanded in the past and just crafting some tag teams. I'm looking at a Pikarom deck because I never really played that before. And, you know, crafting a couple Pikaroms and another tag team GX as well. And, you know, they're much more affordable than the V's Pokemon even. So the V's are just expensive, so you just got to be careful with that. All right, so Lost City can't play that. Let me grab my energy just to partly. I can look in the deck, right? I want to take a look. So I assume, I mean, I essentially had to have Irida. I assume I have Battle VIP Pass, just taking a little peek through. Okay. So, you know, just making sure before I played Lumineon that the card I want was in deck. So I want to get Irida. You're the play there. I want Bibarel down for sure. So I get a water Pokemon. So Palkia would be that. And Battle VIP Pass would be that. I want to fill up my bench. There you go. So I want Palkia, and I want to fill the bench. I want Radiant Greninja. Yeah, Radiant Greninja, Palkia. It's a good hand. I don't need to Squawkabilly. I don't think. Getting energy in the discard is good for Palkia's VSTAR power. All right, that's a nice draw too. I will just attach to a Palkia and pass. So not a bad turn at all. Nicely set up. I could have put down Suicune. It attacks for 2 energy, but it just does less damage, so don't really want it. So they're playing. So no reason. Suicune does give me the ability when it swings in the active to draw a card. Sorry, but it has less HP and does less damage, so it doesn't make sense. So we'll see at 270 HP, right? Palkia likes to top out at 260. Dark Patch is a really good card for their deck because they need to get energies into play to attack, right? So we'll see what happens here. Getting Iono, that was a nice hand. I could get an even better hand though. So Irida is nice. Got a Palkia. Got a Cross Switcher too, so I could Irida for Cross Switcher if I want to switch that way and pick out my target. Taking out the Moltres could be nice for sure because it accelerates energy to itself. So they're going to hit into me, but they're not going to take the knockout. So I think Cross Switcher, take out the Moltres, set them back that way, I think is my play. Adding to their bench. Nope, they're just thinning perhaps. I was excited about them benching another Pokemon because it ups my damage output. But they're doing 150, but I will set them back by taking out the Moltres. At least I'm pretty sure that's the play, right? So So let me grab my energies. Right, I want a Cross Switcher probably and something else. But let me see. Use Radiant Greninja. If I hit Cross Switcher with this, then okay, well that's nice. So I think I'll wait on my VSTAR power because I don't need it, right? I want an Irida because I want a Cross Switcher. Let's see what we have here. Just take a peek at the deck too. Yes, I want a Cross Switcher. Grab the Palkia just to thin the deck at this point. I don't believe the deck plays Choice Belt, right? I'm trying to think through the list. And Choice Belt would be nice, though, I will say. So Moltres, do this. Doing 240, evolve this Palkia. So therefore, if my active Palkia gets knocked out, I can accelerate my energies. And right now I want to wait on it. Don't know where I want to accelerate them to. And I only have 2 energies in the discard. I better to accelerate all 3, right? 2 onto Palkia, 1 somewhere else. So taking 2 prizes. Took the lead in the prize race. I can bump their stadium if I want. I don't know if I want to, but I could. Might toss the Palkia. Could toss the Suicune too. I don't know. Could toss the Iono if I wanted to use Lost Vacuum. So probably a Melony play is nice this turn. I get an energy into play and see what I draw. Okay, yep, but they're Ionoing me. Good play by them. I'll just go to 4 cards. But I still haven't hit Bibarel. All right, so we'll see what happens here. Path, of course, is awkward for me. So we'll see what happens. They're going to hit into me, not knock me out. I'm going to hit into them, not knock them out. But then, so I have a Cross Switcher in hand. I really would like to... I might want to use my ability to accelerate energy this turn, right? So Irida is interesting. Do I want to? I don't think I want to use Irida at this point. So I will Radiant Greninja. Path would be a problem if they play it. I'm assuming they don't play Path, but if they do, I want to be ready. So I think I want to accelerate around some... what do I want to do here? I don't think I want Radiant Greninja, so I'm going to use my ability first. Just if they path me, it could really mess me up. So I want 2 on Palkia. I'm going to put 1 on... I'm going to put 1 on Chien-Pao. Because that gives me the big threat Chien-Pao does, right? Chien-Pao's damage, which I don't love. I could try to thin the deck too, but I think I'm just going to attack at this point. I assume they'll knock out my... We'll see what happens. They'll knock out my active. They gust up the Chien-Pao. In one sense, that's a bad result for me. But the way it is now, I can gust up, I believe, the other Cross Switchers in deck. I believe there was 4. All right, so they're clearing, get some Pokemon and or energy into hand from the discard pile. All right, they need to get energies attached is one of the things. It should show me what they grab, but it doesn't do that, right, Clara? And also what's odd is the discard, top of the discard pile shows Iono, even though Claire was the last card played. So it should show the Claire on top. You can see it when you click on the pile. It shows it in order that they were played, or you can search where things are stacked. It doesn't stack in the initial view. All right, so they recovered 2 tools, which, you know, I mean, which is fine. I mean, you know, Choice Belt helps them obviously with this match, but I'm not overly concerned about it. So we'll see what happens here. I will bench some other Pokemon this turn too, I assume. I don't know what that'll be, though. I'll have to think about that. Let's see what they do. I believe they're going to knock me out. I'm going to knock them out. I'll be down to 2 prizes. All right, well, that's a good play, because now they get the Moltres, they accelerate 2 energies to it. So now they're doing big damage. So if they take out, but even if they take out the bench Palkia, which they might be able to one-shot me now, it's okay, because, all right, see what they're grabbing. So they're doing the Cross Switcher play. So taking out my healthy Palkia, and they're switching what they're attacking with, which is fine. So let's think. So 6 times 5. I'm just trying to think if I want to attack with Chien-Pao possibly this turn. I don't think I do. So they didn't get the knockout. So bad for them for sure. So I want to... Let me make sure the Cross Switcher's in deck. Let me do that first. So I can search the deck by... I don't want these cards anyway, so just thinning my hand. I don't think there's any... There are some Pokemon, so probably grab a Chien-Pao, but make sure that Cross Switcher's there. It is, so I can knock out. And I do have Boss also. My Lumineon V's bent, so I can't get him going, but that's okay. I think I want to... I'll Irida and grab a Cross Switcher. I'm going to not grab a Pokemon because I don't need them at this point. So I'll Cross Switcher and take out the Darkrai, which has energy on it, which is nice also. Radiant Greninja would be not good for me, but that's okay. I don't think that they're going to make that play. So I have Knockout. All right, have energy in hand. That's nice also. So I'm going to attach now to Chien-Pao, I think. Just keeping my options open. They can obviously finish off the Chien-Pao this next turn. I'm going to bump their stadium. Might as well. They don't really want that to happen, so I'm doing 240. So I have more than enough damage next turn to one-shot the Squawkabilly, even if I'm knocked out. I'm doing at least 200, I believe. So hit Boss. So this is a nice hand. This hand I have now gives me game next turn, but we'll see. Right? I can't. But I might get Iono'd, obviously. But the good news is I have the barrel in play, and that's a big part of what that's there for. Handles the Iono quite nicely, right? Gets me up to 5. I mean, I get 2 cards. I draw a card for turn. I have 3 cards, so I might only draw 2 more cards. So they're researching. So this should give me game. I'm just going to gust up Squawkabilly for game. I'm pretty sure, right? And I'll take him out with one of my Palkias. So I'm pretty sure I have game now. They've almost gotten to the bottom of their deck, so they kind of know it's game over, I assume. I think they might even play PokéStop, so they've essentially given up at this point, I assume, because they're decking out. They know I have them. I mean, actually not guaranteed to have it, but I did have them, so there we go. The deck performing up against Palkia is a strong deck, as I really do believe it is. Some of the change. Let me talk about this deck list for a minute before I wrap up here, with some changes that could be made to the deck. So sometimes they play. I've seen lists that only play a 2/2 Palkia. Then they often play a second Suicune. But I like the Suicune as an attacking option. You can attack with it turn 2, turn 1 going second, right? You can Melony. I mean, you can attack. Yeah, you can attack with it for decent damage and maybe take a multi-prize knockout on your first turn going second with a Melony and attachment. So that's good. I like having the 1/1 Bibarel. You saw how it was. I didn't end up. I used it a little. It was really good though. If I had gotten Iono'd late game. I don't think there's deck space for more than a 1/1 line. Even another Lumineon V might not be a bad option, right? Because I play the one early often, and then being able to play one down late to grab a supporter you need, it would be a nice option, right? So a second Lumineon V could be nice. I think the energy count's solid. I'm happy with this count. I don't know that I changed that. If I needed to make deck space for like another Pokemon or something, where would I get it from? That's a good question. I could drop PokéStop. I could live with that. PokéStop would definitely be something I could cut, I think. I've avoided playing it generally. Super Rod could be a nice include, but I'm not sure there's space for it. I can get away without it, So it's a nice card, but you have to kind of make those calls of, hey, I'd like it, but these other cards are more important. And I do think these other cards are more important. So a nice build could drop, I don't know, one of these other supporters maybe. Yeah, could cut a supporter. And which one you make, you'd have to decide what your preferences are. But a very solid deck, a good 60. Encourage you to take a look at it. You should have most of the cards already with the starter Palkia starter deck. Baxcalibur is the battle pass. So give the deck a try, see how you like it, and see how you like this deck compared to the Baxcalibur deck that might toss in a 1/1 Palkia or something. But with Chien-Pao with Baxcalibur, which is it's a very different deck than the Palkia deck, plays differently. I personally, in some ways, like this better. It doesn't hit as hard, right? That's the one issue you can see, but it's consistent. You're not discarding energy. You can stream attacks quite nicely with this deck. So take care.